Today, learn how to transform service quality through systematic daily training. Discover why well-trained servers can boost your average check sizes up to 20% through effective upselling, and master practical systems for immediate implementation. Hello, and welcome to the Bar Business Podcast, where we help bar owners increase profits, attract loyal guests, and simplify operations so you can avoid burnout and finally enjoy your life outside of your bar. I'm your host, Chris Schneider, the Bar Business Coach. Before we get started, a quick thank you to our sponsors, Spot On, who provide a great modern POS solution for the bar and restaurant industry, and Starfish, who use AI to turn your books into actionable steps to increase profits. So if you listened to last week's episode on Wednesday, so just about 5 days ago, we talked about the need to do continuous training. And today what I want to talk a little bit about is, what does that continuous training look like? And there are a lot of training challenges in our industry. A lot of folks do training but don't do it well. And let's be honest, there's a lot of inconsistent training that happens. And a lot of that is the way we view training, the way we look at training, how we train. Now, I know I have done this before, and most of us do in this industry. We'll have big team meetings where we try to do a bunch of training in a half hour, 45 minutes, or an hour, but that's really not enough time to properly train. And the thing about training, let's think about the military for a second, or any of you, if you're someone that enjoys, say, shooting guns. If shooting guns, relatively easy, right? You pull the trigger, things goes boom. But it's difficult to hit the target every time. And how does the military make sure that their folks are always on target, that they always are hitting the spot that they're aiming for? Well, they do it over and over and over and over again. It's repetition, but it's structured repetition. And so when we only train once a month in an employee staff meeting that is 9 o'clock in the morning on Saturday for an hour and a half, we're not building that repetition. We're not building the muscle memory needed to make sure that we're providing a consistent guest experience. And not only is that true when it comes to things like pouring drinks, or making cocktails, or how to pour a beer, or how to clean the kitchen. We also have to be training on proper customer service training. In fact, there was a study that was done recently that showed 70% of restaurant workers never receive customer service training properly. Now, all this lack of training is going to lead to two basic things: high staff turnover and inconsistent service delivery. So today we're going to talk about a systematic approach to micro training that will help you train your team a little bit at a time, all the time, so they can build that muscle memory and become the best trained team in your area. So I am a big fan of this, daily micro training sessions. Now, we talked a little bit already about why traditional training fails, but just to hammer that point in again, it's information overload. You're telling them too much at once. They don't have the opportunity to practice what they're doing. If you've heard me talk about training before, you know that I think that the best method of training is tell, show, do, review. You tell them how to do it, you show them how to do it, you watch them do it, and then you review it. Tell, show, do, review. And the thing is, we can take that, and if we're only teaching one thing, we can tell, show, do, review in about 10, 15 minutes. So we can micro train in almost every pre-shift meeting. Especially if it's a smaller chunk, you can do it in 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes, and it's not a big deal to work this into your daily huddles. Now, traditional training, when we give people too much knowledge, they don't retain it. But when it's micro, when we break it down, it's easily digestible, and they're going to retain that knowledge better. And throughout the week, throughout the next month, we can reinforce that one little bite at a time. So we're going to have better retention of skills, better retention of information through bite-sized learning. Now, when we implement this, like I just kind of mentioned, we want to put this in our pre-shift. We want to focus on one skill a day. We want to practice and role play, right? We tell, we show, but then we do. We have our employees do. So we want to practice and role play those components. If it's a customer service thing, we can role play through it. If it's how to make a drink, we can actually make that drink. And then we want to document who was there, who got trained. Because the last thing you want to do is get mad at an employee because they missed some training, or that you do these micro trainings and you have an employee that, hey, you know what, never works Monday, Tuesday, and they totally missed a component you're training on. You want to make sure everybody's getting the same training. So we need to document who's seen what and what they've learned so that we can hold them accountable to what they've learned and make sure that we've trained them properly. Now, in order to do this, we also need some critical checkpoints. And when I say critical checkpoints, this is really going back to what we talked about last week, critical service checkpoints, and kind of understanding that customer journey for when we're training. So, your greeting and first impression, your order taking, how to accurately take orders, how to repeat orders back to guests, check presentation, how do we say goodbye to people? And then we can also train methods for all of those touch points. So, are we using specific scripts and standards? Now, I am not one. I've worked for chains before. I've told people, hey, you must follow this script. I think that's BS. Let's be honest here, especially in the bar industry, when we're trying to provide a really welcoming atmosphere for folks, especially in neighborhood bars where we're just not that formal, right? We're not going to provide scripts, but we can provide standards, outlines, ideas, talk through what we want people to do. We also want to have videos for demonstrations of practical skills. Now, I know everyone hates training videos, but sometimes an example can work really well. And some of this training, let's be honest, it's 2025. My podcast, for all intents and purposes, is not, I don't say this much, but I teach community college, right? And I teach hospitality. And so it's not different than a lecture I give to my students. And because of that, it's 2025. Guess what? You can do some online training too. You can give your folks videos to watch if you want to cover different pieces. As a matter of fact, I think every training program should have some component of it that is digital, asynchronous, video, online type training. The other big thing that I think everybody needs here, and something that we don't do enough of, is reference cards, right? If you train somebody on something, give them a document that says it that they can refer to. And if you're smart, you're going to make the document the same size as a check presenter, so they can put that in their check presenter, have it there, and refer to it very easily. Now, the more consistently we train, the more consistent we should see our service delivery. The more consistent we should see our customer experience. We should see less errors and less complaints and enhanced customer satisfaction. So we measure the checkpoints, we develop training methods for each checkpoint, and then we will see this improvement. As long as you're reinforcing your training and you trained everybody properly, you will see this improvement as you move forward. Now, the other thing I really want you to do is to cross-train your folks. And when I say cross-train, yeah, okay, your line cook probably is not going to get trained to be a bartender. But your bar back can be trained to be a server, and your server can be trained to be a bartender. And heck, you could have somebody from a house that's trained to serve, bar back, bartend, do whatever. But the more people that have more skills and are better at those skills, the more flexibility you have in scheduling, the easier your life becomes as a manager when someone calls out sick, or someone needs to trade shifts, or someone can't come in. But we want to do that gradually, right? Obviously, for any employee, we want to start with what's really important to their job, right? If it's a barback, train them how to be a barback first. But after they know how to be a barback, train them how to be a server. Then train them how to be a bartender. They don't have to actually ever bartend, but give them that knowledge. Give them that training. Help your team out. It's going to make them more productive. You might actually end up paying them a little bit more, but it's also going to improve your team morale and give you more flexibility. So make sure that you're cross-training your folks wherever you can. Now, a final note, because obviously you guys know I love to talk finances. Make sure you're measuring your training ROI. According to 2025 data that I found, increasing your spending 5% on training can result in 23% less turnover. 23% less turnover with 5% more spend on training. Now, I'm going to guess most of y'all aren't spending anything on training. So you might need to increase it more than 5%. But the bottom line here is the ROI on training is huge. And why does turnover matter? Because if you go to hire an employee, it's going to cost you $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, $10,000 to replace somebody that works for you. It's going to cost you very little to train them, make their environment better, help them be better at their job, help them make more money, not because you gave them a raise, but because they get better tips. So training is key. And creating a situation where you spend a little bit more money on training and you have a lot less turnover will make sure that you are always winning with your business. So to wrap us up for today, here's what I'm saying. Make sure that you create a systematic training system, follow the tell, show, do, review process, but work into your shift meetings, daily micro learning sessions. Focus on your critical service moments. Those pieces of that customer journey that we talked about last week. Do strategic cross-training to give you more flexibility and your employees better knowledge. And make sure those results are measurable and trackable. If you do this, here are some cool industry statistics that you might be able to achieve. 20% increase in check averages through upselling. a 23 to 30% reduction in staff turnover, and an increase in profit per employee. Less turnover, more sales, increase in profit. So look at your team meetings and see what you can do to help micro-train your team a little bit every day to improve them and your business. That about wraps it up for today. If you enjoyed today's insights, make sure you like, subscribe, and leave a review. If you are ready to take your bar to the next level, schedule a strategy session with me by clicking the link in the show notes below. Until next time, have a great day, and we will talk again later.